Hi, thanks for joining me for another tutorial. I'm going to be teaching you in this one how to draw wrinkly fur using coloured pencils. I'm going to talk you through how I create the realistic fur from start to finish, and I'm using a close-up reference photo of a pug. I'll put the photo on the video and I'll also attach a link to it in the comments so that you can have a look at it on a different screen if you want to. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. So to start our wrinkly fur, all I've done is I've just used a light grey pencil and I've just done really faint lines. You can probably hardly even see it on the camera, but really faint just lines with, I've used warm grey and one from the polychromos and just drawn really thin lines where the main wrinkles are. You don't have to do this step. It just helps sort of give us a bit of a guide later on. So to start off, we're gonna work from light to dark. So this is how you always want to work with coloured pencils. You need to build up the colours in layers. So you need to start off with the lightest colours that you can see and then gradually sort of get darker. So for the base layers of this fur, I'm going to use buff titanium from Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils. I'm going to use ivory from the polychromos. You have to excuse how tiny my pencil is. I definitely need a new one of that now. And I'm also probably going to use some of the warm grey one from polychromos and maybe the cold grey one as well, if I can find it. So I'm going to use the buff titanium first. This is just a sort of lighter version of the ivory. So if you don't have it, maybe just use the ivory, it'll be fine. And I'm just going to use sort of a lightish pressure, so not pressing too hard with my pencil. And I'm just going to start blocking in the base of the fur. And this doesn't have to be really sort of neat and tidy at this point. I am still, however, drawing in the same direction as the fur, so that's something you always want to keep a lookout for when you're drawing animals, is sort of which direction the fur is going in, because that will make it look realistic or not. And I just want to cover all of the paper basically. See, I'm just going to this sort of first line that I drew out with the big wrinkle. See, just drawing the lines, it sort of helps to break up the drawing a bit as well, so it's not as daunting really. I'm just looking, keep referring back to your reference photo. The earlier sort of pencil layers, like this first one now, is if you mess up the fur direction slightly, it's not super important. As long as it's sort of generally in the right direction. Like, obviously you can see that the fur is pointing upwards. You don't want to be colouring that way, if that makes sense. So if the fur's going up, you don't want to be drawing across. there's this little sort of like invisible line in the middle where on this side the fur is going that way, and then on this side the fur is going that way. So this fur section that we're drawing is taken from the top of a pug's head. So if you look at a dog, you'll see that the fur generally goes in that sort of direction. Like the fur always tends to go like around their eyes. Once you've drawn a fur, you sort of get used to the way that the fur goes, and you sort of learn it and understand it a little bit more. Just going to leave this little section. I'm going to use the grey colours for these. It's not quite as yellow, it's more of a white area. It's a bit yellow here as well, but then white in the middle there and there, so I'm just going to go around that. Don't worry, as I say, about this layer being a bit messy. You're just trying to cover the paper. I'm going to bring it in a little bit here, even though this area is white again. But you can see around the edges along here, it's quite yellowy. Just keep looking at your photo. Anywhere that you can see has a bit of a yellow tone to it, then use this colour. Just a little bit down in the right hand corner as well. Okay, I'll leave that as that. I'm going to use the warm grey one now. And I'm going to do pretty much the same thing we just did, but just on the lighter fur areas now. Really don't want to press too hard here, even though it's a light colour. If you use quite a hard pressure, it's going to come out quite dark. Don't worry if it's overlapping with the first layer that you did as well. It probably works out the best because it means you haven't got any gaps then in the base layer. There's a big wrinkle in the middle there that I didn't draw out earlier that I didn't really see. somehow, I don't know. But it doesn't matter, we'll draw it all in later on. So the fur here is curving quite a lot because I think this dog's eyes are literally just underneath here. So it's curving around a lot on both sides. Not really using any technique in particular here, I'm literally just colouring in. Later on, when we're adding all of the details and everything, you want to make sure that you're sort of mimicking how the fur actually looks. So this fur is quite short, so we're going to be using like really short pencil strokes. I'm going to use the ivory now, so again, excuse my tiny pencil, I hope you'll be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm basically just going to be doing the same thing, but I'm pressing a little bit harder and I'm just going over the more yellowy parts. Oh my gosh, I definitely need a new pencil. This is hard now. Need to get those pencil extenders, but whenever I've looked at them before, they've had like mixed reviews, like saying that they don't work with certain brands, and I can't be bothered buying like different types for different pencils, and I don't know. I should get them really, because this is quite difficult. So yeah, don't recommend. If you've got a longer pencil, definitely use it. Down here is quite yellow as well. So what I think I'm going to do now is use this not polychromos, Caran d'Ache Luminance pencil, silver grey. It's a really light blue, really cool tones, and I'm just going to lightly go over some of the areas where I can see it's not quite as warm of a grey. So on the edges here, in the middle, and like these three bits in particular. If you haven't got this pencil, if you've got the polychromos, I would use cold grey one. Just adding a bit more sort of depth into the colour. So obviously this part is really light, it's almost white. Don't want to add many dark colours into it. We just want the base to be quite realistic. Might blend it all together with the buff titanium. So now I've just got brown ochre 10% from the Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils, and similar to what we just did with the ivory, it's just what I'm going to do again. It's just a little bit darker, and you'll really start to see like the shadows and things coming together then. And then I think we might start drawing in the wrinkles then, but we'll see. So I'm still just following the same direction, just slowly building up all the different layers. And that's all it is with coloured pencils. You've got to be quite patient, and probably for a while it won't really look like anything, and then all of a sudden it'll just sort of come together. It's very much like trust the process, I find. Especially doing a study like this where it's really detailed and just close up. Oh my gosh, I think I've said this in my other videos, but if you can hear panting, it's my dog sitting next to me being just really loud. So apologies. I'm going to use the ivory just in this corner. I think I missed it earlier. It's quite bright. Back with the brown ochre 10% now. Honestly, if you're drawing pets, animals, there's some luminance pencils that I don't know how I ever did any drawings before without them. This is one of them, the brown ochre 10%. It's really good for these like pale sort of dogs and like golden retrievers. Any like if you're drawing like an orange cat, anything like that, it's really good. Another one then is the colour I used first, the buff titanium. I absolutely just love it. Again, I'll probably use it in, I think, probably every drawing. Maybe not for a black dog, but pretty much any other colour. I think I use it all the time. And then the last one is raw umber 10%. I use that quite a lot as well, and probably use that one in this drawing too. So if you can only buy 3, I would buy those 3, to be honest. I'm just going to go back with the buff titanium now, the first colour that we used, and any sort of areas that I can see hasn't really got much pencil on, I'm just going to go over that. Sort of press a little bit harder and just sort of blend it all in together. You might not need to do this step if you've sort of already done it early on, but just have a look. There might be some areas that you can see are just a bit too light and haven't got enough pencil down. Going over this lightest white part as well. Just sort of brings it all together then. So even though you're going over some bits, you might think, why didn't I just put this colour down in the white to start with? But all the little colours underneath will still show through, and that helps to make it realistic. This is just helping to blend it and cover the tip of the paper a bit more. just using the brown ochre 10% for this little part. Doesn't look quite as dark as it needed to be. Same here as well. I'm going to start with from the Polychromos. It's number 178. I say nugget. I don't know if it's nougat. I don't know. I hate using this pencil for my tutorials because I don't know how to say it. Anyway, we're going to use this one. So where the shadows are, I'm just going to start with this one. This little wrinkle down in the corner. Essentially, I'm just going to be doing short little pencil strokes in this like flicky sort of motion. If I do one, you can see. Just like that, you're making sort of little triangles, I guess. You want some of them to be flicking sort of downwards, some of them to be flicking up. That helps to make it realistic. So otherwise you'll end up with, it'll sort of just look like a bit of a line. I'm just going to follow the direction and where the strokes are going. Now all the wrinkles are literally just shadows in the fur, so you don't need to be like daunted by it. If you haven't drawn them before, I know they can look quite sort of scary. It's literally just shadows. Can be quite hard, but you just got to try not to think about it really. Just draw what you can see. So here it starts to, it like changes direction. So this part here is flicking out towards the right, whereas over here it starts to go towards the left, because like I said, the dog's eye is around here down the bottom. So all of the fur is like circling around it. So you need to subtly just change the fur direction. So I'm using a bit of longer strokes up here because the fur's a bit longer, so that's why. And like I said earlier, you really want to mimic the sort of fur texture with your pencil strokes, and that's how you'll get it to look realistic. So move over now to this wrinkle coming across. There's a really dark area just there. Just going to draw the line going across. Literally just drawing what you can see. So whereas this was quite a flicky sort of area, so if I try and explain this, I hope it makes sense. So this part of the fur is on top of these parts, and then this bit is overlapping this bit, but because it's coming over the top, you can't see all of the flicky bits underneath. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if it does, but just copying the photo. You don't need to understand why it looks the way it does. Just So where it's really dark here, I'm going to press quite hard with my pencil, and then I'm going to do fast strokes and just lift my pencil up towards the end so that it looks like it's flicking out. We will use a darker pencil here. This is just to start with. Okay, I'm going to go to this middle wrinkle now and just add a little bit of something. So by here, I've just used little triangle strokes again. So the face is quite short and sort of spiky. So these little, it's like little mountains that you're drawing. They'll all come together and look like the fur. Okay, I'm trying to figure out which way this wrinkle is going. I'm going to start at the top here. Just bring it down, still doing my pencil strokes in the same way. There we go. Doing really short strokes and just sort of bringing them together, like almost as if you're sort of sketching them in. Looks a bit weird at the moment, but like I said, it will all come together. So if I do this wrinkle now, it's basically the opposite to this one. So you're doing the same thing, but in the opposite direction. I'm going to add a little bit more brown up top here. Okay, next I'm going to do this one coming sort of across and then down. So if I start at the top, if you can see, got quite longer, it's about here. It's a lot longer strokes, again as we're coming out more towards the edge of the face. So I'm just doing the long sort of triangle strokes with, I can't think of the word then, with my pencil. So it gets to the top here, it like comes across and then down. Starts flicking out then towards the middle. Okay, now this big one up at the top. So I'm going to do this little V shape to start with. I'm going to start in the middle. Now the fur is quite dense, so I'm just going to do short pencil strokes there, and then I'm going to flick them out a bit more then. If I bring it up, doing the little triangles. There, I'm just flicking these outwards sort of randomly, I guess. And then bring it up on this side too. It gets quite straight. There's longer pencil strokes here again, just on the edges. This is where it's just really important that you are looking closely at the reference photo and making sure that your strokes are going in the same direction as the fur. Also, you can do some like random sort of strokes, I guess, because if you're doing it all like in a line, it's just gonna look not at all realistic. I did do a video on how to draw short fur. I think it was a time-lapse tutorial, and I did a little sort of demonstration of how to get these like short sort of strokes together by doing these little triangles and making sure that they're not all like uniform and that they're going in the same overall direction, but the individual strokes can go in different directions, if that makes sense. You know, this part up here has got another little sort of mini wrinkle just above this one, and it's the same sort of thing. The fur is quite dense just in the dip, so I'm gonna do the same thing as then, like colour in like a little bit, then add the little flicks. It's a lot smaller than this one though. It needs to go a bit thicker here, I think. don't think I did it quite big enough. So hopefully you can start to see in your drawing, even now at this stage, it does sort of look like some sort of wrinkles. Obviously we're not done yet, but you can see the vision. Okay, I'm so sorry, I can't believe that. It came up that my phone storage was full as I literally drew all this. And I was trying to explain it and I didn't realise. And I just looked up at my camera and it was like, storage is full, you can't take any more video. So I'm really sorry. I've just tried to delete some older videos quickly. So hopefully I can finish this tutorial now, and then I need to have a bit of a sort out, I think. So I haven't changed my pencil, I'm still using the Nugget, and I've just drawn in all of the, well, I'm still in the process of it, but I'm drawing in all of the areas in the lighter fur where I can see that there's like darker hairs. I'll probably go over some of the bits later with maybe like a dark sepia or grey or even just a darker brown. But I'm just getting them in with the nuggets so that it all, like all of the shadows are have the same like base, if you get me. So I'm using the same like flicky motions. So I can't remember now, like I don't know what I've said and what I haven't. I tried to sort of pick up where I've left off, but I can't remember everything I've said now and what I said that wasn't recording. Oh, nightmare. But yeah, just using the same little triangle flicky short motions with my pencils. Over here is quite long fur strokes, just on the edges, and same on this side, the very edge too. So I don't know if you want to maybe pause the video while you sort of catch up on this bit. It didn't take me too long, probably only about 5 minutes. And then press play again when you get to the middle, or you can just sort of carry on while I'm drawing in the background. So I was starting to say, in this middle bit where, like I said earlier, there's that sort of invisible line where the fur goes, where it changes direction, sorry. In the middle here, you can see that on this side there's like the lighter fur that is on top of the darker fur on this side. So when you're drawing light fur over dark, with coloured pencils, it's not really possible to do that because, like I said at the very beginning, you need to work from light to dark. So what you need to do is you need to sort of draw in like the negative space. So you're creating the sort of illusion that the light fur is on top of the dark, but really you're just sort of drawing around it, if that makes sense. And that's why it's important to get the base layers in as well, because then once I've drawn this now, the base layer will be showing through right to the top. I'm paranoid now, I keep checking my camera to make sure that it's still recording. Oh, I can't believe that. Well, I can believe it because my phone has been telling me for months that I'm low on storage, but I never thought it would actually say that I'm not allowed to record any more video. Ugh. I just need a phone with like million gigabytes of storage. Unfortunately, it's not what I have. Even my iCloud storage has run out as well. I just can't bring myself to pay for more when I haven't even got the storage on my phone in the first place. Move on to the very top now. This is like the top of the pug's head. Again, I can't remember if, I don't know if you heard me say earlier about needing to make sure that your pencil strokes are not going in just one line. So they need to go in the same overall direction, but the individual hair strokes can go in slightly different ways because the fur isn't just like one straight line. So you've got different individual fur strokes going all over the place. So apologies if I've repeated myself there, but even if I have, it's important anyway, so can't hurt to say it twice. I was only going to do this tutorial like just really quickly, you know, one sort of sit in, just do a nice little focus face study, and it's taken me ages now that I've had to go through my phone and everything. Oh well. Oh well. Just keep telling myself it's okay. No, it's not really. I am actually really busy at the moment, so don't really have time for this. But I'm trying to fit it in where I can. I'm trying to stick on my getting one video out a week on YouTube, whether it's a long tutorial, a short one, or like a time-lapse video. Been really good so far. I've actually surprised myself with how much I've been able to get out. I've had one video out every week since I think beginning of February, or maybe even end of January, I don't know. I started off, I was going to do every 2 weeks, but then I just had like so many ideas and so many videos sort of planned. I was just started getting them out every week. Thinking of doing quite a few of these little focus, like fur type tutorials. So I think it would be quite helpful for me as well to practice like different fur types and things and really sort of look at what I'm doing, and they'll be quite detailed as well because obviously we're doing it really close up. Gonna use darker brown now for the shadows. So I think I'll use walnut brown from the Polychromos. It's a really dark sort of chocolatey brown, this one is. I'm going to press quite hard now in the darkest shadows. Just going over what we've just done, really. Didn't realise quite how hard I'd pressed here earlier. If I did, I'd probably gone straight in with dark sepia, but that's done now. I'll just carry on with this. Once your darkest shadows are in as well, you'll be able to see how dark you can go with like the other bits of fur, like the lighter areas, I mean. So I always find that, like, if you're following any of my tutorials, you'll see that I often end up sort of going back to like where I started and making it darker, because I just think you can always make things darker with coloured pencils, but you can't make them lighter. So it's best to just do what you can to start with, and then you can always go back later on. Going over pretty much all of the wrinkles now. As soon as I finished recording this, I think I'm gonna edit it straight away, pop it on my SD card, and then delete it off my phone, because probably won't have any storage left after I finish this again. This part here is quite dark as well. So remember to be careful when you're drawing down here. Make sure that you're following the right direction. There's a lot of darker areas, just like bits of fur here, so I'm going to go over those as well. Now you really don't need to focus on drawing literally every single hair, because you'll be there literally all day. So you just need to create sort of enough of the right sort of effect that it looks like you've drawn every single hair, if that makes sense. Just this little bit, gonna make it a little bit darker as well. So it's not really much for me to say at the moment, because we're literally just going over what we've just done with the nugget, but just with a darker colour. So I haven't got too much to say, sorry. Hopefully you can just sort of watch it and be able to see like what I'm doing. That's how you learn really anyway, isn't it? Well, I do anyway. I find it so much easier to actually see what someone's talking about than just listen to them like explain it. Went to a painting class a couple of weeks ago. It was done by Paint Away Events. I don't know if you've seen them like on Instagram. It's more of like a big sort of company, and then they just do like different classes all throughout the country. So we went to one in Cardiff, and it was like a Bob Ross painting style. I was quite proud of mine, but I was really confused at some places because the way the class was done, I don't know if this is the same for everyone, but the one we went to, the girl, she was lovely and she was really good, and you know, she was sort of coming around to help and things, but she would just do a part of the painting like on her own, like we couldn't see her doing it, and then we'd like come up and try and explain it, and some bits you could just see like everyone was confused, like we didn't know really what she meant or what was being done. So yeah, I think definitely need to see it. saying that about sorry, it's just come back into my brain now, about the painting class though. I went to one a few months ago, and it was a paint and sip class, and it was run by, it wasn't like a company, it's just by a local artist. And she was amazing, she was really good. She does loads of different like paintings, like different scenes and things like that. She's really good. She's called Tipsy Carlo on Instagram. I'll put her at up. So if you're local to South Wales, definitely have a look. She's really good. She has dates on like all the time. She does some in like Bridgend, Swansea, Cardiff, Porthcawl. We're so far so good. My phone hasn't run out of storage again yet. Hopefully I can make it till the end. Just make sure you're keeping track of where the fur gets longer, shorter, where it changes direction, all those different things. The most important part of drawing the wrinkly fur is making sure that you've got the shadows all in the right place. And also drawing the light fur over the dark. So like I said, drawing it like in the negative space. This little bit in the middle, the fur is going in all sorts of directions, going like left, right, up, down. Just make sure you're following it. And like I said, you're not going to be drawing in literally every single hair stroke. You just want to create that sort of effect. I can bring the one last wrinkle, this bit. And then I was just going to say I'm going to bring this walnut brown up into this part as well. It's the lightest part of the fur, but still got some dark parts to it, so bring it all together. You can see, like, whereas before when we first added the nugget that looked really dark, but now we've added this really dark brown, it's just super light. Like the nugget, you can hardly even see that it's there. I'm going to go back in with the nugget and then possibly brown ochre 10%, just in the lighter areas, and then I think we've just got the dark sepia left to add then into like the darkest sort of shadows. There we go. I'm going to use the nugget again now. And I'm using, sorry, did it because my iPad was going off then with the photo on. So all of these parts, mostly the bits that we did the burnt ochre, brown ochre 10%, brown ochre 10%, mostly in those areas because they've gone quite light now. You just need to darken them up a bit. because these are our top layers now rather than the base layers, I'm less colouring in and I'm more drawing like the hair strokes still. Can go over the walnut brown, press a bit harder as well. And it's the parts like very closest to where the wrinkles are that tend to be the darkest. You could practice this with any colour really, like you can get like black pugs or like French bulldogs have similar sort of fur type. They can be that sort of bluey grey colour. So you could sort of do this technique but apply it with different colours. So you don't have to do exactly this. This part is really light, so I'm not doing as much of the nugget here. I'm just mostly going over where the walnut brown was. Just anywhere you can see that needs to be darker, more brown, just add it in. I'm going to use the brown ochre 10% now, just for the parts that are lighter again. Just using a little bit of a harder pressure just to blend it. This top area especially, I think, needs it. It's just these little bits now that are white, so I think I'm going to get the warm grey one back out. Yeah, I'm going to use the warm grey one. Just pressing really hard now, making sure that it is all covered up. I think you could use the warm grey one, you could use cold grey one, you could even use the buff titanium, I think. Don't know how much of the dark sepia we'll need, but like we've got the effect as the wrinkly fur already. It's just making the darkest bits as dark as they need to be. You have to let me know in the comments if there's any fur types in particular that you'd like to see in a like focus tutorial like this, and I'll see what photos I can find and what I can do. I've found quite a few photos already. I've got like husky fur because I knew I had a comment a while ago, someone saying I think they had a husky. I wanted a tutorial on that, so I found husky fur. I've got like Dalmatian fur, so you've got like the black and the white. What else? I found like a ginger cat. I've got all sorts, but always open to suggestions. You might think of something that I hadn't thought of. Okay, last step I think now is the dark sepia, and I'm just going to go in the very darkest areas, so like there's little hints of it down here, in this shadow there, in the really like deepest parts of the wrinkles. I'm going to add little bits down in the bottom corner first. I always want to add this colour at the end, even though it doesn't, so a black coloured pencil I find will smudge quite easily, so I don't like to add that until right at the very end. This dark sepia doesn't smudge as much, but like whereas I just went over some of the areas with the brown ochre 10%, I wouldn't be able to do that over the dark sepia because it would end up making this colour look, it would go all sort of light and it would just look a bit strange. Just sort of got to take my word for that one. It's something that you sort of learn through trial and error, but hopefully with me making the mistakes you won't have to. In some places the walnut brown will be enough, but just going in the really darkest parts. parts that look almost black when you're looking at it. This dark sepia colour is amazing as well. I use this in most of my drawings too. Just a really, really dark brown. So it's almost black, but it's just got that little hint of something else in it. So it's not as harsh. I need to add some walnut brown just in this part here. I realised I hadn't made it at all dark enough. So you don't really want any really harsh lines, so you really want to do the little flicky motion where it's quite dark in the middle, or in the ends where it's going right into the wrinkles, and then lift your pencil off quite quickly so that it sort of fades out like that. I'm going to use the walnut brown now. It's not quite black, but it does need to be darker, so I'm just pressing a bit harder. So on the final sort of bits now, any parts that you can see are maybe a bit too light, add some darker face strokes into it, either using dark sepia or walnut brown or the nugget. Pretty much done. I think I'm just going to leave it there. Probably could come back to it later and see maybe a few bits that need to be a little bit darker, but yeah, I've gone through all of the sort of main techniques and everything with you. If you've got any questions, just leave them in the comments, let me know. But yeah, if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Really appreciate it as it helps me out. And say let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see from me. Yeah, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you.